I'm Dr. W.F. Strong, and this is Brownsville Matters. I'm your host today, and I'm talking to Rusty Brechot.
Yes.
Who is, what is your title at Lone Star National Bank?
I am actually the market president for Cameron County for Lone Star National Bank.
So you go out in the world and talk to people.
I talk to people, customers, non-customers, future customers, people in the community, and of course all the community involvement in the stuff we do. I pretty much oversee our commitment to that here in Cameron County.
Well, we want to thank you for giving us the studios here. We couldn't be having this conversation.
I guess the community thing started here, didn't it?
Yes,
for you guys especially, and it was a great thing. One of those deals where we kind of knew a few of the people, and conversation started. Then going back to the day of George Ramirez and all the things he had going on, we were pretty involved in that. And one day, I guess the request came and says, "Hey, we got this giant antenna, and you've got this tall building, and do you think we could put our antenna on the top of your building?" Well, I don't see why not, as long as you don't make a hole. And so, that kind of happened, and it kind of evolved into the studio and everything that's here today. So it kind of happened pretty quick too. So it was good.
How long has it been here? About 12 years or so?
I think 10 or 12 years probably, when we started with antenna and worked our way into the space that the studio's in today. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to ask because I've been with the organization about 3 years, but very informally, and only lately have I joined it in a formal sense, like doing these interviews and things. So I wasn't aware of how long this relationship had existed. But it's great because you provide us with these wonderful facilities, and the means of reaching the audience with the antenna on top of the tower.
So, there you go.
And we have a pretty good reach, for a station of this size. We go all the way to Los Fresnos, and on a good day, Port Isabel.
Well, I tell you, if you walk into my office here at the bank, if my radio is on, this is what we'll be listening to. We enjoy the music, so it's been wonderful.
Well, the other thing, the reason that we have Brownsville Matters is an effort to connect the community to all the interesting people and events that are going on in Brownsville, because a lot of people are unaware that we have magnificent people here, creative entrepreneurial spirits, and people with great histories and fascinating backgrounds. We just last week interviewed Omar Relambago Juarez, who is a professional boxer from Brownsville, and 22 years old. He's fighting in Vegas, but he lives here and he loves Brownsville, and that's the sort of spirit that we want to share with the community. Well, here's a question for you. I'm going to give you a kind of off-the-wall question. On social media these days, there's kind of a trend going around where professionals in various fields will share with others the 5 things they would never do as a result of working in their profession. Like a doctor who works in an emergency room says, "I will never ride a motorcycle. I will never jump on a trampoline. I will never use a table saw." They go through, if I'm over 60, I'll never get on a ladder. So they're talking about all the things that they are exposed to as a result of their profession, and they come up with 5 things you don't do. So as a banker, what are some things you would never do as a customer or a person seeking finance or anything like that?
Wow. Okay, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Well, off the top of your head.
I did stop climbing ladders at 60, so I know that kind of works for bankers as well. But if we were sitting there thinking, well, obviously knowing your finances, to go blind, it just does not make any sense. A lot of people don't realize their financial health, and it's health. Okay, financial health is probably one of the big parts of your total overall health, and so I think that credit card debt. Credit cards are a wonderful thing used properly, but I would never recommend for people just to take it. I would never recommend a young student to have more than a credit card. I would never, ever again, and there's times in past, and sometimes we don't have the choice in credit card debts is to allow that credit card debt to grow. And I think that has been the pitfall of many a family. They get into such tough debt. Banks are here. It's kind of funny, when you talk about, especially a community bank like ours. I mean, for us, it's we have that little saying, we do what the little banks can't and the big banks won't. and it's true, okay? Because it's, as a community bank, we're very involved in community. You'll see us at almost every event. We support so many organizations. I think, and I think I can say this with all the confidence in the world because we looked at it and talked about it. Lone Star National Bank donates more money into the community than all the rest of the banks combined.
Wow!
But that's what we're all about. Mr. Alonso Cantu, our chairman of the board, Mr. David Deonda, our bank president. That's just part of the plan, and that's what we do. And but being a community bank, we're very involved in things where we've I always say that we've made many a millionaire. It's because we get involved with the smaller businesses.
Right.
As a small business, I would tell you, don't get tied up with the big banks till we can't handle it anymore. And that can happen, okay? As a community bank, and we're a $3 billion bank, so we're not small. I think we're the largest Hispanic-owned bank probably in the country.
Really?
Amazing. But
bigger than IBC?
Well, it's not Hispanic-owned.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's publicly traded.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, so IBC is a little bit bigger than us, yeah. Been around a little longer, and they're a wonderful bank, too. And they're involved with the community.
Sure.
Fred Rusterberg, may he rest in peace, was an
wonderful man.
Incredible man. Gosh.
I worked with Fred back about 15 years ago. I was what I call the VP for new money at the university. And I worked with Fred a lot in building our endowments and that sort of thing. Of course, his family had a connection to the university and the community college.
Right.
And he was, but IBC and Lone Star were both incredibly helpful and generous in building the endowments at the university that were so important because, we're not Harvard. We don't have billions of dollars in our endowments, and we needed to grow them from the very bottom, and he helped do that. So, yes,
I do remember
man.
spending time on the advancement committee and stuff with the
development board
way back when, and we've raised a lot of money together. Fred was an incredible gentleman. And so, going back to the banking thing, of course, we...
What is the difference between a community bank and a commercial bank, for instance?
Well, you can be both. We are a commercial bank. That is our forte.
Right.
Small mid-sized businesses, we take them, we work with them, we help grow them, okay? We provide the resources they need to continue to expand, to add to their facilities, to bring in more equipment, to be able to, of course, distribute. So we get involved in that. In a community bank, though, it's, our focus is that. I can still, not to mention any names, I can still remember a gentleman I met because of his father-in-law and was learning the business. Wonderful young man, taking it from the ground up, and it's kind of funny. We're very much in contact. This has been many, many years. As he flies his own jet today, as he travels throughout the state and the country.
Oh.
Yeah, those are the kind of things that we do. We can. As a community bank in our size, being a $3 billion bank, we can loan out to one entity about $45 million. So we can take it up to that. That first loan may be a $300,000 or $400,000 loan.
Right.
But it can lead up to that. Now, the big banks, if we're talking about beyond that, sometimes we work with other community banks and we'll share and we'll do that. But then sometimes it's just you grow into that kind of an organization that's global or worldwide or at least, across the country. And then, yes, a Bank of America or a Chase or something like that may be more fitting. the difference with us too is usually if you call Lone Star National Bank, a person will answer the phone. In a big bank, that's not going to happen. You're going to press 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And then once you figure it out, you press the wrong button. You got to start all over again.
Oh, it's terrible.
So,
it's terrible.
But we pride ourselves on those kind of things, and I think that's not for every community bank. There's some that use the automation.
Right.
Mr. Cantu's made it very, very clear we're a people business, and our people will conduct the business. And so
that is wonderful, because that's probably the number one complaint you hear from people is, I want to talk to a person.
Every account has an officer assigned to it. You can call a person. Me, myself personally, I carry a cell phone. It's never off. My business card has my cell phone number on it. People call me on the weekend. They'll call me in the evening. And that's what it's all about. So you'll see that.
Did you start out in finance per se? Were you in the bank as a loan officer?
No. I'm here totally and completely by. Okay. I've been with Lone Star National Bank. I'm going on my 17th year.
Right, long time.
I was hired on as a business development officer, the first that the bank really had at that point in its growth cycle. I spent 30 years before that running car dealerships.
Oh,
so it's kind of an interesting story. It's
okay. What are 5 things you would never do if buying a car?
Oh my gosh, there's about 20 things I'd never do. But and in today's world, boy, you could just talk about today.
Right.
Buying a car today.
Today, yeah.
How different is that than it was 3 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a completely different world.
Well, let's go there. Let's do it.
We can do that.
Let's do it 5 minutes on that. We'll come back.
Okay.
So how's it different? Buying a car today compared to what the world was like when you were running a dealership?
Okay. Back in the day, running dealerships, very competitive, as it should be. Whether you're competing against your own product and another dealer that's selling your product, or a Cadillac's going against a Lincoln, or Toyota's going against a Nissan, and whatever. Okay, so you used to go in there and you'd see this field of cars, and you had all these choices, and you had this, that, whatever, and then you got on there and you looked at that sticker price and you said, oh my gosh, now I'm not paying that. Well, gosh, no. And you wanted discount, and you wanted rebates, and what are the interest rates, and all the things that go on. Well, that's what used to happen. It was very competitive, very good, and which is the way I think it should be. And today, if you're driving down and you drive down past the Nissan lot, or past Luke Fruia Motors, or past Tipton Motors, or wherever you go, you don't see that big field of automobiles and all these choices and all these colors. And when you see that sticker price and it says, $50,000 for that, you're begging to just keep it at that.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Because now, there's availabilities and this, that, whatever, and and I have seen, and I'm not going to pick a brand or a dealer or anything like that, but I've seen the request being $20,000 to $30,000 over and above what the sticker price of a vehicle was if you really want to buy it. Because you know what? It's the only one there is. Somebody's going to buy it, and they'll pay that for it. So it's a different world, which is okay, because in the world we live in, supply and demand has always come into play, but at the same time too, at some point in time when they get the chip program fixed so that there's enough chips to put in the cars to put the equipment so that they can finish them and put them on the lots and do whatever, and they started, then that value is going to come back down. So if that happens a year and a half from now, and you're one of those guys that paid $20,000 over a sticker for some, or 10, or even 5, or whatever, cars depreciate. They're not a good investment.
They're not.
You can be careful now. There is a way to really watch that. Just like we talk about banking, and don't pay 20-something% interest when you can get a bank loan and do something different, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with automobiles, and you got to be careful, because you can decide a year from now, 2 years from now, hey, I want something different, and they go, well, it's only worth this now. Well, no, but I paid so much over it. Yeah, well, that was then, and this is now. And but there are a lot of great dealers as well that understand. They're selling vehicles as they come in off the trucks today. That's what's happening. It comes in, hey, your car just came in. Like used to in the old days, some people would order their cars.
Yeah.
Well, now you're ordering out of what's being built.
Right.
Hey, I've got a red one coming in about 3 or 4 weeks. Okay, here's $1,000. Hold it for me. I want it. And then, so the dealers are benefiting from the fact that if they're getting enough inventory, they can make the money they need to make, and they're not paying any floor plan interest, which was just one of the biggest expenses for a car dealer, is paying for that car sitting on the ground so you can come by and take a look at it.
Yeah.
It's just like everything else. You pay interest on it. The longer it sits, the more it costs you, the less you're going to make when you sell the car.
Yeah, the holding costs will get very expensive.
Absolutely, and then it's pretty massive. So.
I tell you what blew my mind as a true paradigm shift in buying a car is when the internet was, fairly new. It'd been around for a while, 10 years or so. People were getting comfortable with buying things online. Mm-hmm. And I remember one Friday morning, I bought a car from my bedroom on my cell phone. Mm-hmm. And I had it shipped from Philadelphia to my house. And it was used. It was a used BMW, but a particularly nice model. Paid $40,000 for it. I bought it, paid for it, had it shipped all from my cell phone. And so I said, man, it's a brave new world now. Yeah. And it was a great car, And my wife at the time was a little concerned that I was going to get robbed or, this was not going to work out, but it worked out great. And then we have Tesla that's having that strange issue where they can't sell directly within the state. They have to move the car outside the state or something to be able to sell it, or the customer has to pick it up outside the state. Because they're not a dealer. They're not a dealer is the problem.
I don't know that whole story, but of course that's another.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing, right?
Yeah, it's a whole other thing.
Well, you're talking about the things that you don't do in buying a car, and my understanding is one of the things you don't do is focus on the monthly payment. A lot of people go in and say, if you can just give me $380 a month, I'll buy it. And
I'll tell you the trick. I'll tell you the trick. Okay. Right. And all my car dealer buddies are going to sit there and go, hey, what are you doing? Why are you saying that? There's usually 4 things that will trigger you buying a car. Mm-hmm. Okay. And just like you mentioned, is it the payment? Do you focus? But see, to some people, it's the payment. Mm-hmm. To some people, it's actually what they're paying for the car, the discount, mm-hmm. What are they really paying for the car? For some people, it may be the trade amount, mm-hmm. that what they're getting for their trade-in. And for some people, it may be the amount of money, the cash they got to take out of their pocket to make this thing happen. Sure. Because you'll come in and say, yeah, that's a nice car. I need 20% down. I'll get you finance. You need $5,000 for this. Well, I don't have $5,000. I got $2,000. Okay, and the trick, or that's not the trick, it's the focus that we have trying to sell a car is we got to find out which of those 4 is really your hot button. Mm-hmm. Because the other ones really and truly don't matter. For a guy that's going to say, I'm not going to pay more than $500 a month for a car, I guarantee you will not pay less than $500 a month for a car. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. You've already told us what you want, so now we try to make that, we may switch you to a lesser expensive car so we can get more of that $500 to be profit, right?
Right.
So but it's not going to be it's not the trade value, it's not whatever, it's just, look, I'm going to give you my car, I don't have any cash, here's my car, and I'm only going to pay $500 a month. So that's, nothing else matters. Yeah.
So they want to walk out there. They want to walk out of the dealership with the car and feel they won in some way.
Well,
I won.
You usually won't walk out unless you feel like you won.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it, the dealer's trying to win too.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's those win-win things. Hey, you liked it. Yeah, I was willing to sell it for that. Everybody wins. Yeah, that's how everybody kind of works.
But I can see how the trade-in value becomes very important because that's a way they say, well, I got this. I got my price, and so they feel good that I got my price for my car that I was emotionally invested in.
And we listen to see what your little hot buttons are. We make sure we cover those.
How interesting. How has banking changed in this time? I mean, obviously, everything has changed, but how has banking changed in your 17 years?
Well, as we've come through the pandemic, and now we've come through inflation and what's really going on out there, and we look at whether you think or you don't think we're in a recession. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to say I think we are. We have to be more careful. We have to help our customers be a little more careful. We're in a rate rising environment. Okay, a few months back, Wallstreet rate was 3.25. Today it's 4.75. Probably by the end of this month, it's going to be 5.75. Probably before the end of September, it's going to be in the 6s, close to 7.
Wow.
And that's how the government is trying to slow down the inflation and all this kind of stuff. Well, it's a pretty difficult thing. So, okay, so what does that mean? That means if you're borrowing money, the cost of that money is going up and up and up.
So that's why the housing market is already taking a dip.
So, yes. Now, it came from a time where it was Katie bar the door. I mean, they couldn't build enough houses down here. They couldn't find enough lots to put the houses on. I mean, the construction companies just couldn't, they were just, they couldn't keep up, and created those kind of problems. When the workforce was struggling along this thing, it made everything more difficult. And our builders, and we have several of them. I mean, there's probably 15 or 20 builders that work directly with me, and we help them, we support their businesses, and I mean, trying to find the people to do the foundation work, trying to find the framers, trying to find the roofers, and here they sit, or trying to order now the products, the windows. Windows was one of the biggest things that would slow down projects. I had a personal friend building his house. He stopped for about 5 months because it was going to be 6 or 7 months before he'd ever get his windows. So there was no reason to build a house and not have windows in it. So he literally had to slow down the production of his house, the building of his house, so that eventually the product would catch up. And you see a lot of it. You saw the wood prices now. So
yeah, man.
Now for builders, think about this. You got started on this house. You built this. I'm going to build this house for you. Great. And all of a sudden, everything's going crazy, and the wood prices double, and this doubles, and everything's going up and up, and you've already quoted a price. And now you can't build that house for the amount you're selling that house for. Forget making a profit. And the situations that would cause. So what do? You tell the guy, well, look, I'm going to have to stop building your house because I'm going to lose money building your house now. Well, but we have a deal. Yeah. So all these things kind of go on. Or even you take the rising rate environment. You're buying a home, you're building it, but when you started building it, the interest rate was going to be 3%. Now that it's going to be finished, your mortgage rate is going to be 5%, 5.5%. What does that do to your payment? Well, you're basically doubling the interest, which is the biggest portion of a 30-year payment is interest, and you're doubling it up. So it creates a lot of issues. So as bankers, we meet every 2 weeks to discuss what's going on, what's happening. Okay, and we try to relay that information to our customers, and like, okay, guys, you're thinking about doing this. We have people that want to build hotels, people that are building apartment complexes, people that are doing this, that, whatever. Well, yeah, you know what? If you bought an apartment complex today, you'd probably pay a lot more for it than you would have last year. But it's also producing more revenue, a lot more revenue than it did last year. That kind of goes hand in hand. But at the same time, too, there's other things that maybe the income value doesn't grow as quickly as the cost value to build. And so they got to decide, and we work really hard with them to figure out, okay, I'm going to build this 100-room hotel that's going to cost $12 million, but what are my revenues going to be per door? And what are they today? What were they? Yes, it's going to cost me $1 million, $1.5 million more than it would have last year to build it, but my revenues will offset it. So we work with our customers and try to put the pencil to things, and so that it makes sense, because we obviously we don't want to own hotels and apartment complexes and stuff. That's not our business. Okay.
Yes.
But we want to help them make good choices and good decisions, and that's a lot of what we do. So sometimes we tell somebody no because we just can't see how that's going to work, and they're going to be able to pay us back.
Yeah.
And that's, we want them to win. We don't want their profits. We don't want their growth. We just want our little monthly payment, and we'd like it to come in on time, and we'll keep taking care of you. You keep growing, and then everybody wins.
My brother was was an attorney and kind of an estate attorney, trusts and stuff, and he was deep into finance for rich people. And I remember he said to me, he said, if I owe the bank $1 million and I can't pay, I'm in trouble. But if I owe them $100 million and I can't pay, they're in trouble.
They're in trouble. Yeah, yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Who has the gun, right?
Well, the thing I've noticed in banks that's changed in the past 10 years anyway is bank lobbies used to be full of people. Used to be a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And now they're not empty, but they are 10% of what I used to see on an average day in a big bank. And I'm supposing that has to do with the fact that I can check my own balance, I can look up my own checks, I can do so much online that I used to have to call someone to look all that up for me if I wanted that done. I can do the loan online. Of course, ATMs are
the ATMs
ubiquitous.
of today are incredible. Deposits, cash, anything. You can do anything you want with them, sure.
And then you have all these apps like Venmo and Cash App, et cetera, where you can move money, whereas in the old days you might have to go do a bank transfer or you go to Western Union or something. So things are just easier at your fingertips through the various apps and cell phones, et cetera.
So to answer that, and I'm going to give you the Lone Star National Bank perspective of things. As a matter of fact, tomorrow morning I'd love for you to come out to the port entrance. Tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. We're having a ribbon cutting, a brand new facility we just built and are opening there at the entryway to the port. We believe in brick and mortar. We believe that, yes, there are less people coming through because there's not as much need to come through.
Right.
But when that need is there and they want to really talk to somebody, we're there. And that's what the community bank side of things. You'll see the bigger banks, I mean, you'll even walk into the bank and go to the teller line and you're going to do your transaction on a machine there. They move away from people and moving more to the technology. And that's fine. And we provide the technology. You can do anything you want to on your phone or on your computer or on your iPad. You can do the transactions. You can transfer money. You can do all these different things. We're switching over. We even use some of the other technology like Zelle, to be able to do the transition. Okay, Zelle will be going through the banks, and you can always get Zelle, but then to have a bank support it where it's your bank, then your limits can go up. There's a lot of good things that can happen even with something like Zelle and those type of products because the banks control them, and instead of that $500 a week that you're allowed to move through Zelle, well, it could be $50,000 a week if you want. If you're that customer and you have the means to be able to do that, the banks can handle those kind of things. So there's a lot of that goes on, but we still believe, even though our footprints are a little bit smaller than they used to be, the number of drive-through lanes are maybe a little less than what they used to be. They're still there. And they're still going to be there, and as far as we're concerned, they still need to be there when the need arises. So our normal new facilities will have 2 drive lanes where if you go to my office right now, the one on the freeway that's been here for 20 years, it's got 4 lanes that you can go through. We all have our ATM machines outside in case you just want to pull in, do something real quick there and leave, as well as ATMs throughout. But, that commercial customer that comes in, that he's got his plans, he's looking for advice, he wants to sit down. We have our conference rooms in each one of these locations. We sit down, we spread things out, we talk, we do it the old-fashioned way, and we'll sit down and help them, decide what they should or shouldn't do, and how much of it should they do or not do, and what should they finance, and what are the costs, what's it going to really cost them to be able to do these things.
I think of how banks looked, let's say, 100 years ago. If you went into a bank, of course, I'm not that old, but I think of the older pictures and things. And you go into a bank, and even from the outside, they look kind of like a jail. They look like a jail. They look like a fortress, and the tellers were behind bars, back in the old days, 20s and 30s, et cetera. And slowly they kind of loosened them up and made them a little more friendly, and now they look like the lobby of a hotel. They're very comfy with nice
a little different
couches.
than the old Bonnie and Clyde days,
very
right?
different.
But and once again, the technology now is what protects us, and all our staff is very trained in being very observant of the people that do come in and what they come in for. And there's still people that that think they can literally rob a bank and get away with it. Yeah, not much of a chance of that really happening.
Yeah.
I mean, there's for us, it's not cages and bars anymore, but there's cameras, and cameras not
cameras
only watch what the people are doing, but they also watch us. I mean, we don't want our people to make mistakes, and if we do, we definitely want to correct them. And there's been the time where a customer came in and said, "Oh my God, you gave me an envelope and I gave you a check for $500, and there was only $400 in my envelope." Well, with the technology and the stuff that we have today, we can go right back.
You can check that
find out
out
what time they were there, and we'll actually see our machines. Our machines count the money, and our machines do all that stuff. So it protects us from making mistakes, protects our customers from, making sure they get what they need. But at the same time, too, if you think you're gonna go in there and rob a bank and get away with it, you might want to rethink it.
That technology has improved security, and it's also improved customer service. Because I had a couple of years ago that I called Fidelity, and I moved some money into out of an investment. So I want to move this money from here to here, and then I checked on it later. They didn't move it, and it cost me like $5,000 within a week because they didn't move it. It was selling a stock and moving it, and so I called them up and I said, I asked you to move this, and we talked about it, and you said okay, and they said, well, we'll listen to the tape, and they went back and they said, yes, you're right, and the fact they had it on tape was magnificent, because in the old days they would have been, he said, she said sort of thing. So it protects you. It provides for greater customer service, and I was very happy with them because they corrected their error and gave me my money.
And that is very, very important that we do the job right. We are a full-service bank. We have our own insurance company. We have our own investment company. We have our own trust company. I mean, we're able to provide merchant service companies. We provide all the services that any bank can. We provide those here locally. And they're with people. Our merchant service team is available if there's something goes wrong with a machine. You don't have to wait for the guy from Dallas to come in, or you're going to talk to him over the phone or what. No, one of our people will be knocking on your door saying, okay, let's see what the problem is, let's fix it, or let's change this machine, or so there's a lot of that goes on with trusts and investments and stuff like that with our investment team and trust. It's a crazy world, and you really need to keep in tune with that. Well, we're local, so once again, these little buildings that we have spread out, and there's probably close to 40 of them now. You can walk in and talk to people and look at things and see things together, and we think that's what's important.
Yes, it is very important.
So we're gonna, as long as I would imagine, we will be doing that till the day they tell us we just can't do it anymore. But I don't think they've ever told Mr. Cantu anything that he could not do. And Mr. DeAnda, our president, is very, very, very involved with everything that goes on with our banking organization, whether it's the trust side or investment or even our insurance company, whether it's your car insurance or your home insurance, and our mortgage company that's going to take care of your home, and so on and so forth.
So you have a vast menu of services.
Absolutely.
Well outside of what
Absolutely.
you would normally.
There is very little we cannot do. Yeah.
Now, you've lived here in Brownsville all your life, right?
All my life.
So where are we going as a community? What are we going to look like in 20 years?
Wow. It hadn't changed much in the last 20, right? A little bit. We started changing and, evolving. And then you go back, I mean, I still own the home I grew up in. I just can't seem to I have some very good friends that are living in it. And it's that part, there's so much that has not changed, but yet there's so much that is changing.
Well, where did you grow up in the city? Where
I grew up by the airport.
By the airport.
Yeah, I grew up on Billy Mitchell, corner of Billy Mitchell and Clubhouse.
You got to watch planes land all day.
I used to ride my bike down there to go watch Braniff fly in. It was Pan Am, right?
Oh, Braniff, yeah.
Wow. Well, that's probably why we don't have Southwest Airlines, because we had Braniff back then. Yeah,
that is why.
Oh, I know, that's the story. So I grew up, playing baseball and just, down the street, jump on my bike. And
did you swim in those resacas?
Absolutely.
There? Yeah?
Until Pepe. we used to kind of wet the sides of them, slide on down, jump on in. So but guys in the neighborhood, we all go in and jump in. And old Pepe one day, he just went running, jumped in, and started screaming, yelling. We go in there, we had to pull him out. Somebody had thrown a roll of barbed wire in that doggone resaca.
Oh no!
And his leg went right through it. So we had to carry him home and the barbed wire to go get that cut out of him and stuff. But but those were the fun days. I mean, that's how we grew up.
Those were the good times.
Yeah, they were.
But it's incredible, that people would water ski on those resacas over by Fort Brown. They would.
Yeah, they used to. There used to be a lot of that. But things changed.
But they were deeper then.
They were a little deeper, but they was still dangerous, and people did get hurt, and I think that's why they finally decided
kind of got away from it.
Yeah, we're going to take those power boats out of there. Now we have the downtown area that's hopefully, and I'm going to knock on wood. I mean, it's just we grew up downtown. That's where we went for everything. My dad was on the corner at 10th and Elizabeth. That's where the post office still is. That's where his window was that he spent many years at. And so we grew up downtown watching and shopping and doing that. And it's nice to see what's going on there, the revitalization. I hope it continues, and we'll see where that takes us. Of course, we have Mr. Musk, and SpaceX and everything that he's doing down here. And, whether you're agreeing with it or you don't, or you think we're doing too much or too little or whatever, it is having an effect. It does have an effect. And I think it's a positive effect. I mean, I know.
How many jobs have they created?
I can't even tell you how many thousands. Probably.
I've heard 6,000.
Yeah, it's thousands, and because it creates jobs outside of the jobs, and our port of Brown. There's another big.
It's a multiplier effect.
Oh my gosh! And now with the finally the agreement to deepen it another 10 feet changes the world. It changes the complexion of that port, and one of the reasons why we're there, we know there's.
But what does it allow them to do because they deepen? What does it?
You're
give
talking
them
about bigger ships to be able to. There's some ships that can't come into they can't come in here.
Sure.
And so once you have the capability of the bigger ships, then it also becomes more economical to ship. So you get a big ship that can come in here that can load up twice the material that this other ship could and go out and do this thing. Now it becomes more advantageous to be here because your product would be going on these bigger ships. And you look at the windmills and stuff. I know you've seen these windmills going. I cannot believe how gigantic those things are. Really. They're all pulling out of the port and different things like that. There's still talks of a steel mill. You can, whether you're the LNG fan or not, once again, I mean, whether you were, I know people hated giving up Boca Chica when they're going to set off a rocket. Okay, but it's a small price to pay. And you know what? It does help our community. It does help our economy. There's a facility or an area that they're really looking at to build very futuristic homes that you've not seen anywhere. And these homes are actually homes that would be put on Mars. Oh. They're self-sustaining. Tesla has a lot to do with those because they designed the roofs on these houses that, of course, produce their own energy.
But where are they looking at doing this?
Right there by Boca Chica.
Oh, right.
Pretty close, yeah. So there's a lot of things that could. We were obviously waiting for different answers, but there's, Elon Musk can change the complexion of any place he puts his footprint on. And yes, he is.
I wrote an article a few months ago for Texas Co-op magazine about the land out there and how 100 years ago it was owned by Colonel Robertson he was kind of the founder of San Benito. And he was, a wonderful entrepreneur. He's a railroad builder and all of this. And he envisioned in 1926, he talked to the Economic Club right here in El Jardín Hotel, and he told them that we needed to build an island highway that would go from Boca Chica all the way to Corpus Christi along the island. So it'll be an island coast highway, great for tourism. He was the first one to build out there. He owns some of the same land that Elon Musk owns out there. And I just thought it was interesting, 100 years apart, two visionaries, one was dreaming a highway, and he essentially dreamed of what South Padre Island would be. He built the first resort out on Boca Chica, got wiped out by a hurricane, but he was the explorer. He was the one trying it out and laid out the vision for what could be. And then Elon Musk owns the same land, and he's looking at the stars.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I'm personally very excited about SpaceX being here. I know there's always those who are against progress in that way. They would like to see it done differently, but the road to, is it like they used to have these signs out on the highways? The road to progress is always under construction. Mm-hmm. So, and it's not a case of if you don't build it, they won't come. These things happen. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I mean, look what happened to Houston. They tried to stall development, actually, and it still happened. It just happened badly.
Yes.
No zoning and stuff,
Yeah, a few issues. They could probably do it a little different. But you know what? In the end, I think here in Brownsville and Cameron County and everything, I think we're going to really benefit in the next few years of all the things that are going to be available for the people in our community, whether it's jobs and better employment and better pay and just more things to enjoy and try to get in our university. Mm-hmm. I will tell you, I'm going to jump up and I'm going to throw that in real quick because I was just with some of the guys talking about the football team that will be coming someday soon. We have, and TSC's been great. I mean, I remember walking through the corridors there and all the different things. We've been blessed, but never so much as today. Mm-hmm. We have TSC that has grown and done some great things in their world. Mm-hmm. We have UTRGV, which is providing education second to none, and we can keep our kids here. Mm-hmm. And we have the medical facilities that are coming into play. We have, the education on the medical side that's happening. All these things that 20 years ago, 30 years ago
just didn't exist.
Just weren't there. And so our kids can stay here. They can go to school here. They can live at home. They can work. There's work for them. There's education for them. And you know what? If they want to stay here, hopefully we'll be able to provide for them the jobs and the opportunities that would make sure that they have a very wonderful life for them and their families, and do it right here in the Rio Grande Valley, especially here in Cameron County.
I think that's a good way to end right there. That's a good vision for the future, pulling in the university and all the economic good fortune that's coming our way. And I like that vision. I think you're right.
Come to our ribbon cutting tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m.
Okay,
Come
10:30.
join us.
Okay, good to see you.
Good seeing you too.